Good afternoon, folks. This is Bill from Maine.
And this is Danny from Florida. How you doing today, Bill?
Good. And we'd like to welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Fearless Truth. How's the weather down there, Danny?
Well, it's in the low 70s and a bunch of wind. Kind of comfortable, really. It's not bad down here.
Well, that's good to hear. Look, sun's out here in Maine. Not too bad. Kind of warm. Little chilly at times, but we're getting better. Well, Danny, guess who won't be down for breakfast?
Who would that be, Bill?
That would be Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
Rush won't be down for breakfast.
I heard that. The sad thing. I heard that sad news the other day.
Yeah, so he was quite a guy, but he joins that great list of people that won't be down for breakfast. So, do you have a shout out, Annie?
Yes, I do. I do have a shout out, and it is a shout out to talk show radio's legend, Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice. You know, considered one of the most influential media figures in American history, conservative talk show radio pioneer, reshaped conservative and the Republican Party. He also revolutionized what we know now as the conservative talk shows of today. And talk shows owe him a debt of gratitude, Bill, for the great accomplishments and single-handedly building what we know today as political talk shows radio. Plus,
Yep.
he was on the EIB network, Bill, for 33 years, and at the time of his death, he had around 27 million viewers a week. We know now that he passed away with stage 4 lung cancer.
Too bad. It's a shame. But like Rush would always say, he was talent on loan from God.
Yeah, and I remember listening to him when he would say, I got to tie half my brain behind my back just to get down to the level of you people.
Yeah, he really came to the front during the whole Clinton years. That's when he really kicked in, and people really that didn't know about him got to know him because he hammered hard on old Bill Clinton.
Yeah, he did. You know, he just changed everything, really. I mean, I heard one guy say that if it wasn't for him, you know, AM radio may not exist to this day.
Yeah. What I find sad about it, Danny, is people in this world through social media have to make comments about glad that he's dead, rest in piss. That was one of the ones I saw. It makes me sick that, you know, we all can go through life not liking someone. We can go through life actually hating someone. But to come out and say those type of things after the person has passed away, I'm a loss of words when it makes me sick. It really does.
Yeah, you know, when someone dies, let them rest in peace, you know. Whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them, you know, I got people I don't agree with every day, and I'm sure you do too. Come on. When they pass away, let it be. Let it go.
Yep.
Let it go.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's too bad. We've lost a great one, but like he always told us, he was talent on loan from God.
Well, I hope he's up there in heaven right now, enjoying himself.
So, Danny, would you like to know what we're going to talk about today?
Sure. Let's hear it.
Well, are you entitled to know what we're talking about today?
Well, if I'm not entitled, then we're going to have a one-sided podcast here.
Well, you and I, we're going to rant and rave and touch on this whole entitlement attitude going across this world, this country that seems to be, probably the last 2 or 3 years it's really picked up.
Yeah, I've noticed that. But I want to tell you, there's one thing I am entitled to, okay? I am entitled to my little rubber ducky.
Tiny.
That's tiny.
Well, you are entitled to your rubber ducky. But how has this culture and this world and these people, the young people in the world today, with this whole mentality of that they're entitled to this and entitled to that?
Well, you know what you're entitled to? You're entitled to what you earn. You're entitled to what you have become, who you are, what you've earned, the mark that you made on this earth. That's what you're entitled to. But you're not entitled to something that I have made or created. I mean, why should I have to share with you unless I want to share with you? If I want to share with you, that's one thing. But why, we're being forced to share with people who don't want to get off their asses, Bill, and go to work. So why do we have to be the ones that are being punished?
I don't really know. I don't have an answer to it. It really bugs me when I hear, because, the big thing is this whole $15 an hour minimum wage. So you mean to tell me you're mixing paint at your place of business and you do a real good job, you do it well, and let's say you get $15 an hour. I don't know what you get, but let's say you get 15, and I can come in, Johnny, brand new guy, who shows up 5 minutes late for work. It's break time. I take off and go to break. I'm the first one in the break room. And then I'm watching the clock to punch out, but I'm entitled to that $15 an hour because you get it.
When you mentioned the name Johnny, all I can think about was that time we were on Clary Hill. people, we can't even touch on that, Bill.
Yeah, that conversation will take part in the medical marijuana conversation.
Little Johnny opened up that huge camper, and out came a billowing smoke.
But anyway, but seriously, Danny, do you think it's right for me to expect that, I'm entitled to that same pay that you're getting?
Well, I guess, according to some of our left-wing friends, you are entitled, Bill, whether you earn it or not. And I know you. I know your work ethic. You know my work ethic. We give 110% as often as we possibly can. And we deserve that income that we're making because we work hard. But today, not anymore. Today it is, we got to make it fair for person B because, we wouldn't want them to get upset and cry over, have the coloring books and the crayons and stuff, because they're not getting paid the same as that guy over there. But he gives 110%, while she only gives 80%.
I don't understand how people can look at that situation and say it's fair. So we want to give the same person that wants to sit home and not really work the same amount of money that you get for busting your hind end day after day after day after day after day for years. It's just not right.
Well, there is a bill in the works right now. It's the stimulus package, but inside that stimulus package, there's a lot of money in there for different things, but there's also that federally $15 an hour, what do you call it? $15 an hour.
Oh, the minimum wage?
Minimum wage, yeah. I had the mental block, sorry. And if they pass that, and they probably have the votes to do it, everybody in this country, whether you're young and right out of high school or you've been doing this for 30 years, is going to get paid. Could get paid $15 an hour.
Wow. Don't you think that will take a hard hit on the small businessman? Because let's say he's got 5 employees, and let's say 3 of them are younger student types, just started. And let's say he was paying one 15, and the next guy in line who's been there a little bit as long, maybe he was making 10, maybe all the others were making 9. Now he's going to pay all 5 of his employees $15 an hour? How long is he going to be in business?
Well, not only that, Bill, is think about how it's going to affect the rest of us, okay? Okay, maybe I was making, say I'm making $14.50, and that's going to go to $15. And this guy's making 9, he's making 10, and they're going to go to 15 an hour. And then look what happens, okay? Walmart, McDonald's, Burger King, places like that. Well, we got to either eliminate jobs, or guess what? We're going to jack the price of milk up. We're going to jack this up. And who does it affect? It affects the hard-working man. Not only does it affect small businesses, which it will, it's going to affect everybody.
Yeah, and I worry more about the small mom and pop business is what bothers me on this whole thing, because I don't know why Walmart even has employees anyways, because, we got 32 registers, but only 2 have a real person behind them, and the rest are all self-checking.
Right, and they're going to eliminate all them too as soon as it goes up to $15 an hour.
Eliminate all of what? All 2 cashiers?
Yeah, all 2 cashiers. They got to save money somehow.
Well, true. They might as well get rid of them because, like I said, 32 lanes, 6 of them are only open. 2 might have a real person behind it. But you're right. It's going to, they got to make it up somewhere.
I'm going to tell you, these corporations, Bill, are not going to lose money. They are going to find a way to pay that $15 an hour and still keep their large, huge piece of that pie.
You are correct. Now, Danny, here's one for you. I would like you to address this one. I just finished my 4th year of college. And boy, I've got like a $70,000 student loan debt. I'm entitled for you to just wipe that out.
Well, I know a lot of people who have gone to school. They've either paid off their loans or they're currently making their payments. And so all of a sudden, if we do something like that, what about those people? Are we gonna compensate them too? Because now, okay, Mr. 4-year graduate who just graduated, Bill Maxwell, his $72,000 is gone. Well, what about Danny, who has paid off his $100,000 loan? Do I get some money out of that too? Because if you're entitled, why aren't I entitled?
That's right. And I was raised, and I think you was too, that, okay, you took out a loan, and now it's your responsibility to pay it back. You didn't have to take out a loan. You could have maybe went to a community college, or maybe you could have restructured it so maybe you worked a lot more while you was in college to help pay off your loan. But now they think they're just entitled because the government, our man there who wants to call himself the president, wants to do this whole college loan, wipe it off. Forgive it. Forgive it.
Because they're entitled. And I'm going to tell you, Bill, I got a close relative who went for 3 years of community college. He is currently continuing to pay off his loans. He's brought his loan, I think he's around 30-something thousand. He's down around 10,000. He's being a responsible young man, and he is paying up his own loan.
Now, would this young fella possibly be related to you very closely?
Very closely related to me, yes.
Well, again, I would say that would be he was probably taught to, when you borrow money, you pay it back. He was probably taught to get out of bed in the morning, and if it's who I think it is, he went out and eventually, over the years, got into a really good position job that will help pay his bills.
Exactly. And you know what? He's more money-minded than I am. So he was paying attention to me and somebody else because the kid is really doing a great job. He's paying his bills. He's contributing taxes to society and doing his thing like most people should be doing today.
So there's a shout out to a responsible young person who doesn't feel that he's entitled for something. He made the choice to go to school, did he, or did he not?
He did make that choice, yes.
And I think going into it, he knew he needed student loans to help pay for things. I'm not going to disagree that probably the whole school thing is it's kind of like the medical pricing. It's probably a little ridiculous. Probably they could really sell a book for more like $10 than $56 or something. But
yeah, if they really wanted to help students, maybe they could pass a few laws. Our great Congress that can, how they can get together as two parties and really do what's good for the people. Pass a few laws to help these kids to make it so it's more affordable, just like healthcare. There is a way to make healthcare more affordable if Congress would get together, which we know they can't, and pass laws in favor of the American citizen.
Well, they need to pass a law like Canada has. Canada has a law that the medicine field cannot advertise. You go to Canada and turn on a TV, you don't see any TV commercials for Viagra and this diabetes medicine and that medicine. You don't see it because that's not allowed.
Yeah. Well, the pharmaceuticals bill, they are allowed to do just what they want. Somebody's got to be in the hip pockets of them. I don't know, because they're allowed to do what they want. We need, people shouldn't be making a huge profit off the health of other people. It should not be allowed. We need reform. And if this government really wants to do something, they would reform this.
Yeah. Well, Danny, did you know that the word entitlement is a noun, and the meaning of it is the fact of having a right to something?
Okay.
Well, in my opinion, you have a right to get your ass out of bed in the morning and go to work.
Well, there you go. You do have one right. You have a right to breathe.
You have a right to breathe.
Oxygen's free.
Yeah.
So you have that right.
Yep.
And speaking of shout outs, let's make a shout out to all those people who have paid back their student college loans. Let's make that shout out right now, Bill.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. they should be proud of themselves. They didn't have their hands out. They didn't feel they should get something for nothing. Now, did you know, Danny, that research, this is my research. I've got a hidden laboratory and I do research.
Yeah.
Research has discovered that a large amount of young people are developing an entitlement complex.
Well, that may come from the fact that my generation, I'm going to say, for instance, and maybe the generation below us, didn't have a lot when we grew up. So we as parents wanted to compensate for our children. We overcompensated by giving. Now, I believe these children and the children below these children feel entitled.
You nailed it right there, because the research says that these, and of course, you know what they call them? You know what they're calling these entitlement young people?
No, shoot.
The millennials.
Aha. Yeah.
They never really had to work for anything, because to them, money is freely given out by the government or their parents. And that was that's the research that I was able to dig up on this.
Okay, so I can talk from my experience, all right? I was a single dad, pretty much, raising my son. I had a decent job, decent money, and I tried to give him as much as I could, all right? My son. Now, it got to a point, though, I taught him what I was taught. And I said to Stefan, you got to get out and you got to get a job and earn your if you want to be able to drive and have your own vehicle, you got to go out and earn it. I didn't buy him a vehicle, Bill. Nobody bought me a vehicle.
You didn't buy him a vehicle.
No, I didn't.
Just because he turned 16, he graduated. You didn't go out and buy him a brand new Mercedes or something.
I wished I could have, but I didn't. He was probably 15 or 16, got a job at the local nursing home. He was in the kitchen, and he would go from school right to there. I'd go down and pick him up every evening. And finally, he saved up enough money, got his license, and he went out and bought his first vehicle.
Wow. Good for him.
Now, being a responsible father, I said, okay, Stefan, you did a great job. I'm going to pay for your insurance, okay? I'm going to pay for your insurance because I want you to be safe. So I paid for he was on my plan anyway. I paid for his insurance. But he still kept the job. He still worked. He put his money away because he used it for different things or whatever, schooling and what have you. And, from that, I think he learned to have a good work ethic. And he got up every morning. He gets up every day now, and he goes to work. And I know there's many, many more examples of that. I got a couple of daughters that do the same thing. I got nieces and nephews that do the same thing. I don't believe that all millennials think that they're entitled.
Well, I think you've nailed it. It's, you helped him, but you didn't really buy it and do it for him. I can remember back in my day, my first car, 1974 Dodge Colt. And my father came to me one day and he says, "Gonna get you a car." Took me to a garage, looked at cars, and he found this one, and it was for $500. He says, "This will make you a good car." So I was all excited. I'm getting a car. But do you want to know why he picked out that car?
Let us have it.
Because that's how much money I had in my savings account that he was using to buy the car with.
Yeah, he was a good man. He taught you right.
So what did that teach me right then and there? If I want it, I'm going to have to work for it and buy it myself. He didn't pick out a junker that was going to break down, 20 minutes after we drove it off the lot. That's why he went with me. He checked it over and he found one. $500 74 Dodge Colt. And then when we got home, he helped me again. He gave me the phone number to the insurance agent to call to get insurance.
Yeah.
But how many do that now like this nowadays, Danny? Now it's, oh, you graduated high school. Here's a new Mercedes.
A brand new car.
Oh, you've got an A. You made the honor roll. Oh, you're going to have a new $1,000 phone.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's how we get into this entitlement. And it trickles on to the greatest day of the year, Christmas, when they forget what the meaning of Christmas is about, and they just want.
Right, and I that's why I don't like Christmas. It's too commercialized. It's too much want.
Well, in my research, the number one contributor for millennial entitlement was parenting.
Yeah, there you go.
So, do we really blame these kids nowadays, or should we be blaming a few generations older?
It should definitely be blaming the parents. And yeah, well, let's talk about another entitlement. Hey, I don't have to work. I can draw food stamps. I can draw, EFDC or whatever it's called. I can draw, that way I can have brand new car, I don't have to work though. I just have more kids and I can get more money.
That's right.
That entitlement.
Yeah. And some people have it figured out pretty darn good on how to do it. Well, there we go, folks. I know you've been waiting. You were probably wondering if Danny's even pissed off today, but we're going to find out. Because, Danny, that's the sign for you. You got 1 minute. What pisses you off today?
Well, I'm going to tell you what pisses me off, Bill. When one man single-handedly divides the Republican Party by his speech on the floor in the Senate. He said, there is no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. He completely divided the Republican Party 70-30. And you know what, Bill? It's tough enough that this divided party has to fight the Democrats as united party. But now, because of one man, McConnell, because of him, because of Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party is in a disarray. And I don't know what it's going to take to unify this party because of that one man. Mitch McConnell needs to apologize. He needs to step down as the senator. He needs to be out of the limelight. Mr. I Am Rich, thanks to being a senator, has destroyed the Republican Party single-handedly. Now, we're going to need someone that can reunite it. Not sure who that can be. Maybe it will be Donald Trump. Maybe it'll be someone else. But Mitch McConnell destroyed and divided the Republican Party, and he needs to go down.
Wow. Well, you're a little pissed off about that, ain't you?
I tell you, I couldn't believe it when I read it. I could not believe it when I read that. What was he thinking?
Well, I don't know. I guess he's entitled to say what he wants.
I guess he is. Thank you, Mr. McConnell. Anyway, Bill, getting back on people who are on welfare. Okay, I'm not against welfare for those who are having a tough time. For those who are having, they're out of a job. They just lost their job thanks to, some president stopping the pipeline. They need a little pick me up. They need a little bit of help. But come on, Bill. We know there's families out there, 3 generations who have lived on welfare, and nothing has been done about this entitlement ever.
Yeah, again, people, we know some. All they care about is when that stimulus check's coming. I tell you what, you want to piss off Americans? Don't mail the welfare checks out on time and make them wait for their stimulus check. But while you watching them, they get really ticked off.
Yeah. Hey, and now Congress has the nerve to say, well, Social Security is an entitlement. That's not an entitlement. We put our hard-earned money into the government, hoping that we would have some retirement when we reach a certain age. And for them to say that's an entitlement, they're full of dog crap.
That's right. I mean, I look at my check every week, and there's money coming out of it. And, I'd rather have that in my pocket, wouldn't you? I could have probably invested it and saved it better.
Yeah, give that money to me and let me invest it into a 401k or something like that. I'm going to have a whole heck of a lot more money than what they're going to probably give me.
That's right. Well, Danny, I'm going to take us over to Cornbread's Corner and tell you about February 21st, this day in history. 1965, February 21st, Malcolm X was assassinated.
Didn't know that.
How ironic was that? That, this new segment, Reliving History, because we here at the Fearless Truth do not believe in cancel culture.
No, we don't.
That during the whole Black Lives Matter thing, that today in history, Malcolm X was assassinated. So I found that interesting. Evangelist Billy Graham passed away on February 21st, 2018. Wow. And he was 99 years old.
Wow.
The Washington Monument was dedicated in 1885 on February 21st. February 21st, 1972. You probably remember that year well.
Oh, yeah, quite well.
Yeah, Richard Nixon paid a visit to the People's Republic of China, ending a 21-year estrangement between China and the U.S.
I have a question for you.
What's that?
I think we've always been estranged with China. That was more of a statement.
That's right. Well, and born on this day, February 21st, we have Kelsey Grammer. He played Frasier on television. Maine Representative Olympia Snow was born on February 21st. Anthony Daniels. You know who Anthony Daniels is, Danny?
Can't say that I do.
He was the actor that played C-3PO in Star Wars.
Wow.
He was born on February 21. Representative John Lewis from Georgia, who just passed away last year. He was born on this date. And I kind of saved the best for last. Tom Yawkey, former owner of the Boston Red Sox, was born on February 21st.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So that is it and that's it for Cornbread's Corner. But I've got a special treat for you, Danny.
Okay. I was going to ask you a question first.
Well, Okay. Ask the question.
Well, it's about Conrad's Corner. Now, would that be the corner up there in the North Nobleboro Road?
Yeah. It would be, and we're going to change the name of the road to Solar Panel Alley because there is solar panels going up everywhere up there.
Woo! Hey, guess what, Bill? You won't have to worry about power.
No,
anymore.
I'll tap into one of them. I'll get an extension cord somehow. But like I said, this new segment is, because I don't like cancel culture. I love history. History should be learned from. It should not be erased. Now, Danny, I'm involved with my local historical society here in Waldoboro, Maine.
Yes.
And this is kind of for you and Mitch. I was going through totes and totes and totes of newspaper clippings. And in my hands right now, I'm going to read you the title of this November 11th, 1999 Lincoln County News newspaper clipping. Patriotic brothers escape harm's way in WW2.
Yes. I used to have a copy of that, and I cannot find it. I have no idea where it is. But can you imagine sending 4 of your sons, these patriotic sons, off to war, being the mother, sending them, all 4 of them, off to war at once, Bill? Bill, can you imagine that?
Unbelievable. And for what, and our listeners that don't know, I am talking about Danny's and Mitch's family, and actually their father, because in this photo is a picture. It shows six of the children, I believe, but the 4 brothers, George, Frederick, Montel Jr., and Douglas, were the 4 that went to war, I believe. And of course, Montel Jr. being your and Mitch's father.
Yes, and he served in the European theater under what I believe he was under or attached to the great George Patton, General George Patton.
Well, I kind of got goosebumps when I found this because you and I have talked about it about 6 months ago or so about the 4 brothers as a topic here at the museum, and I found the article, and of course there's a picture, like I said, of the children, and then on the other page has a picture of George in uniform. And you read this article, and like Danny just said, here's a mother, Mildred Ross, did a lot of praying in the early 40s for good reason. She and her husband, Montel Sr., had 4 boys serving their country in World War II. She's got 4 sons away overseas, and she don't know if one will come back or if all 4 will come back. And for all 4 to come back, that's pretty trying times. And my hat goes out to your family, your family, Danny, for this, Mildred and Montel Sr. and your father and your uncles. My hat's off to them.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'm glad you brought this up. I couldn't imagine being that woman or even a father knowing, World War II, like you said, will they be coming back? But thankfully, all 4 men did come back, and all 4 had families, and some of them lived. Well, one of them lived to be in his 80s, and it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Well, Danny, before we close this out, we're a little over, but that's fine. I want to say that if anybody's listening, now, Danny is the technical man, and technology and me just don't go hand in hand. Danny can tell you that. I've been fighting with something for about 4 hours for the past 2 days. I got bumped off this podcast. I don't know how, a couple weeks ago by something I did. So, but
Sorry.
But if there's anybody out there that knows how Danny and I could get this podcast uploaded on YouTube or another format, give Danny a shout, send him a message or something, because he'll be able to understand what you're talking about. If you tell me, I'm going to say, yeah, the sun's out, because I ain't going to know what you're saying when it comes to the whole technology stuff. So,
yeah.
And and rumor has it, people, Danny is willing to give $100 gift certificate to your favorite restaurant if you share our podcast at least 7 times.
What? Where'd that rumor come from? $100. Woo! I don't make $100 in a week.
Well, there. I think we've touched on entitlement. I think we thrashed that around a bit, and a couple good shout outs out there, and we got things off our chest.
Well, we did, and I hope many people listen. I hope you share this podcast with your friends, because it's you that keeps us going, and if we don't have you, we're not a podcast.
Well, I guess that's it for this week, Danny.
Yeah, this is Danny from Florida.
And this is Bill from Maine, and we want to thank you for listening to the Fearless Truth